Monday, May 1. The 2,300 Days and the End Time. Read Daniel chapter 8 verses 17, 19 and 26. What time period does the angel declare that the vision of Daniel 8 and the 2,300 days apply to? And why is that important to understand? Daniel 8 verse 17, So he came near where I stood, and when he came I was afraid and fell on my face. But he said to me, Understand, Son of Man, that the vision refers to the time of the end. And then verse 19, And he said, Look, I am making known to you what shall happen in the latter time of the indignation, for at the appointed time the end shall be. And verse 26, And the vision of the evenings and mornings which was told is true. Therefore seal up the vision, for it refers to many days in the future. Some argue that the 2,300 days are literal days. They also believe that this little horn of Daniel 8 applies to the Seleucid military leader Antiochus Epiphanes, who lived from 216 BC to 164 BC, who attacked Jerusalem and defiled the Jewish temple, even though 2,300 days does not fit even his time frame. This interpretation, however, is contrary to the angel's clear instruction that the vision applies to the time of the end. Antiochus Epiphanes certainly did not live at the time of the end. In Daniel 8, Gabriel begins his explanation of the 2,300-day prophecy. He names the ram as representing Medo-Persia and the male goat as representing Greece. In Daniel 8 verses 20 and 21, The ram which you saw having the two horns, they are the kings of Media and Persia, and the male goat is the kingdom of Greece. The large horn that is between its eyes is the first king. Though not named, as are the two powers before it, the next entity, the little horn, is obviously Rome, and we see clues in Daniel 8 verse 9. And out of one of them came a little horn which grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the glorious land. And verses 23 and 24, And in the latter time of this kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their fullness, a king shall arise, have fierce features, who understands sinister schemes. His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy fearfully, and shall prosper and thrive. He shall destroy the mighty, and also the holy people. He then depicts a kind of religio-political phase of Rome which would cast down the truth to the ground, as we read in Daniel 8, verses 10 to 12. And it grew up to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and some of the stars to the ground and trampled them. He even exalted himself as high as the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifices were taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Because of the transgression, an army was given over to the horn to oppose the daily sacrifices, and he cast truth down to the ground. He did all this and prospered. And verse 25, Through his cunning he shall cause deceit to prosper under his rule, and he shall exalt himself in his heart. He shall destroy many in their prosperity. He shall even rise against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without human means, and interfere with Christ's heavenly ministry. We read in the text here in Daniel 8 verses 10 to 12, which we've already just read. The cleansing of the sanctuary in Daniel 8:14, the climax of the chapter, is God's answer to the challenge of earthly and religious powers that have attempted to usurp the authority of God. It is part of God's divine solution to the sin problem. Gabriel is ready to explain the details in God's prophetic timetable. At the end of Daniel 8, we can clearly see that Daniel did not understand the part of the vision about the 2,300 days, as We read in verse 27 of Daniel 8, "And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick for days. Afterward I arose and went about the king's business. I was astonished by the vision, but no one understood it." The earlier part about the ram, the goat, and the little horn had all been explained, even with the first two powers outright identified by name. In Daniel 8:21 and 22, which we've just read, the cleansing of the sanctuary was, however, not explained. The angel Gabriel, who appeared in Daniel 8, appears now in Daniel 9 and says to him, in verse 23, "At the beginning of your supplications the command went out, and I have come to tell you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore consider the matter and understand the vision." What vision? As we will see tomorrow, it is the vision of the 2,300 days, the only part of the previous vision in Daniel 8 that he hadn't explained yet to Daniel. And so to finish today, Gabriel called Daniel greatly beloved. What does that tell us about the intimate link between heaven and earth? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.